the Crafty Savage, and I'm back finally. I know, for a Whip in Chat. Oh, it feels like it has been forever. I kind of, took a break. Well, I needed to take the break, and we'll get into that. But I hope you guys are doing fabulous and wonderful, because we all know if I don't ask you how you guys are doing, I'm going to hear it from my mama, right? Exactly. But, oh, it is good to be back. I'm going to try and get back, to like my normal posting. Life is still kind of up in the air. It is not as chaotic as it was, over the summer. And we're going to get into that. So I hope you guys are ready. Pull out whatever it is you are working on. I have a diamond painting sitting over here. I also have a blanket that I'm trying to crochet. Well, I'm not trying to crochet it. I am crocheting it, but I have to do it when a certain somebody isn't around, and we will get into that certain somebody. I also have like 2 boxes of stuff that TSL Dame sent me when I first moved to North Carolina in September, and I've just been like, I've just been horrible at recording videos. But again, it's just, I had to, one, watch what I would say, because I knew my mouth would get me in trouble, and it still might, but I'm just kind of to the point that, like, I don't care anymore. I really don't care. And you guys will hear it all. So again, pull out whatever it is you're working on. If you're new to diamond painting and you don't know what whip is not like a whip that you whip somebody with. No. Get your dirty minds out the gutter. I mean, I know that's where my mind went when I first started diamond painting like 4 or 5 years ago, and I was like, what? A whip? I don't know if I signed up for all this, but yes. So, Whip in Chat, it stands for work in progress. Chat is, I'm just going to run my mouth, tell you all about what has been going on in my life and the chaotic mess that it has become. So I don't know. I might just be running my mouth. You might actually see me work on something. Who knows? I got a list of things here. I do apologize in advance if I kind of bounce all over the place. I'm going to try to fit in as much as I possibly can. Other things might pop in my head. I got some notes that I quickly wrote down. So let's rewind, shall we? So the last time that I made some, like life update things. I think the last one I did was in August, and we're now in November. And I was still living in Florida. I no longer live in Florida. I now live in North Carolina, and I love it here. I love North Carolina. Like, I wish I would have never moved to Florida and just moved to North Carolina, like where I'm at now, because, but we'll get into that. I wouldn't have been able to, but anyway, so let's see, where did I leave off, right? So June, I went up to Pennsylvania for Chicky Nuggy and Moose's christening. If you're new to the channel and you don't know who Chicky Nuggy and Moose are, those are my nieces. Like, I absolutely love them. Chicky Nuggy has her Aunt Nay wrapped around her little pinky. All right, like that girl, if she said, Aunt Nay, I want a pony. All right, well, Aunt Nay might not be able to afford a pony right now, but if I had to sell pictures of my feet, that girl would get a pony, okay? I'm just saying. So I went up to Pennsylvania, for their christening. I saw my brothers and my sister. I hung out with my one best friend. Allison was like busy with work, where the times that I was there, she didn't have off. And the day she did have off was the girl's christening. So I didn't get to see her. But I still talk to her all the time, all the time. We still, communicate all that. Um, but basically, I had come back from Pennsylvania, and usually back then, I would sit down and record my Whip and Chat videos on a Wednesday. Well, I made the one Whip and Chat video, where I come back from Pennsylvania, told you guys all about it, the following Wednesday. So during that week, I had found something in the books. And I went to my uncle about it, and it was not good. We'll just put it that way. Like, it was not good. Some of you guys know more of the story. I still kind of have to watch what I have to say, but at the same time, this guy is still screwing me any day that ends in Y. But karma is a bigger bish than I am, okay? We'll get into that and leave it at that. So I went to my uncle, and my uncle called him, and he came down to talk to my uncle. And he turned around to my uncle and was like, well, I want to fire her. And my uncle was like, you can't fire her, So he wound up coming to my house because, I used to work from home, came to my house, took all of like the checks, anything to do with the money, so I wouldn't have access to it to see what was going on, and told me, well, your uncle said I wasn't allowed to fire you, but I'm going to cut your hours in half. And that's what he did, which really screwed me, because it was like my bills in Florida, they were high, but I made really good money. I worked full time. By cutting my hours in half, I couldn't even afford my rent. And I was like, and I still had like my car payment, my car insurance, the electric, the cable, just all your other bills, food, the dog food. Because, Mr. Roscaroni is allergic to chicken, and you'd be amazed at how many dog foods have chicken in it, even if it's not a chicken flavor, so his dog food is not cheap, but it's cheaper than what it would cost to take him to the vet because he gets a skin allergy. So I wound up like going to my uncle, and I was like, hey, like, he cut my hours. Like, my lease is up in 2 months, because my lease was up at the end of August. And I was like, I've never been evicted. I'm like, by him cutting my hours, I'm like, I can't even afford my rent. And my rent at the time was $1,600. So I was like, I can't afford that, and then I have like almost a $400 car payment, my car insurance, it all adds up. And it's just me paying the bills. Like, I don't have somebody that helps me pay my bills. So my uncle was like, I told him he was not to mess with your hours. So my uncle was like, text him. And without getting into too much details about my uncle's health, he's not in the best health-wise, you know what I mean? Like, he can't go out and check on jobs and all that. Because if he could, what I discovered, he would have gotten rid of his partner. And he told me, he was like, nay, he's like, I can't get rid of him. He's like, I need him to run this company. And I understood that. Like, I understood that. But anyway, my uncle said, I told him not to mess with your hours. And my uncle asked me, gave me his phone, asked me to text him and, be like, no, Nay's staying at 40 hours. And Dan turned around and said, well, if she goes back to 40 hours, we're not going to pay her rent for the next 2 months, which, fine. Like, if you don't cut my hours, I can afford my own rent. But because I moved to Florida for this job, like, I had talked to my sister and my brother-in-law who owns a company. And, because they had moved me from Pennsylvania to Florida for this job, and, Dan wanted to get rid of me, they were responsible for my moving expenses. And, you know, I was supposed to get $5,000 for moving expenses. Yet Dan screwed me on that. When I say this mofo, like, this summer was hell. Like, it was absolute hell for me. We'll get into that. You know, but again, like, if you keep my hours at 40 hours, I don't need you to pay my rent for the next 2 months. Because like I said, I've never been evicted from a place. And there was no way I was going to be able to go out and get a job making what I made after, you know, 13 years that somebody's going to start me off at. You know, so I'm like, you know, and again, you know, it's like after, you know, how do I put this? When you're used to like a certain amount of money, like your bills become higher. So when my hours got cut, like it screwed me. And then, you know, so he was like, well, you know, we won't pay our rent. And at that point, hey, fine, I can pay it myself. You know, and we're not giving her the $5,000 for moving. That's where it was there. I wouldn't have been able to save up enough money for, you know, first month's, last month's security, you know, like moving expenses in 2 months paying all my bills. So my uncle turned around to me and he's like, you know, well, Nay, what do you want to do? And I explained the situation to my uncle. I was like, not that I want, you know what I mean? Like if I'm at 40, if I get my 40 hours back again, I can afford my bills, but I won't be able to afford to move. So, you know, there was that. So I stayed at the 25 hours. And I was going to have my job up until the end of September. Yeah, that didn't happen either. So when I say this dude made my life hell, like hell. And that's why, you know, I wasn't recording because I was still working for the company and I had to be very careful with what I said. He knows about my YouTube channel. Like if you're watching, hey fucker, I hope karma bit you in the ass. Excuse my language, right? But this guy has known me since I was 10 years old. I'm 42. So he knows what buttons to push to try to set me off. And so even after it was, you know, okay. So at one point I went back to the 40 hours. Then I got an email saying, you know, I'm cutting your hours starting Monday. You're going down to 25. I went back to my uncle, and that's when that whole text thing happened. Again, I apologize. I'm probably going to be jumping around, you know, and that's where I had to decide what I was going to do. So I did my 25 hours. I was supposed to have my job till the end of September. Well, long story short, by him cutting my hours, I couldn't afford, you know, like I couldn't leave the company because I needed that money for the moving expense. And I was like, and I got to pack things up and I got to, you know, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do all this. So I just sucked it up. I would, you know, he had the girl who took over in Pennsylvania what I was doing, go through the books to find any mistakes. Now, keep in mind, we're in 2023, right? The only thing he could find was when I entered something back in 2019. 2019, okay? What, like 4 freaking years ago? I keyed in something wrong. Like, I'm human. I'm human. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's ever made a mistake at their job. And here's the thing. Like, if it was such a big deal, why didn't the accountant catch it at the end of the year? You know, it really wasn't a big deal. It was like, you know, like with the numbers, like 1, 2, like I hit 1 instead of 2 or whatever it was. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like it was like dramatically off, made a big, huge difference. It was like $1. Freaking shoot me. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. And if we're in 2023 and the only thing you can find out that I made a mistake on is from 2019, get over your petty self, right? Even stuff down to with the subcontractors. I had them saved in the computer. So I had a file that said subcontractors. You would click on it. And then for each individual subcontractor, they each had their own individual file. And then like you click on that subcontractor, and then I had it, like their workman's comp, and then, another thing like general liability. So it was, I get an email. Well, that's not going to work for me. I need them to be all together. So I had to print all that out, scan it over, resave them in the computer, like just petty stuff, because they were trying to get me to freak out, to give them a reason to make me quit. And I knew it. And I was like, like, I know I got a mouth, but I see what you're doing. I see how you're being petty. I'm not giving you that satisfaction, right? And again, that's why I stepped away from YouTube, because I know he knows I have a YouTube channel. He had people I had to block people on Instagram from the other two companies that I know he talks to. And it was funny because I blocked the one guy's wife, and all of a sudden on Instagram, and like I said, it's crafting. My Instagram is crafting. I don't really put any personal stuff out there. Once in a blue moon, you know what I mean? I'll throw up pictures or whatnot. But for the most part, my Instagram is just about the YouTube channel and crafting. Tell me why when I blocked this guy's wife, I get a request from the one drywall company up north. Get the hell out of here. You know what I mean? I know what you're doing. You have fun, because I'm not giving it to you. And, and if he's watching this, oh well. Because when I say, he screwed me even down to trying to find a job in North Carolina, where I know, because I've called the jobs, and they're like, oh, well, we've heard from this company, a company that I haven't worked for in, almost 15, 16 years. They got a reference from them. They got a reference from the last place I worked at, but they're still waiting on the reference from my previous, my last employer. Because he's just being vindictive and petty. So, but I got that taken care of. I had to call my uncle, and explain things. The relationship with my uncle is more or less ruined. And it wasn't because he chose the business partner over me. I understand he physically cannot go out, count the houses, do the jobs, check on the jobs. He needs him to run it, But when it came down to August, and it was the last week that I was in Florida, and I had already paid, I got a pod because I thought about it. I was like, I don't want to get a U-Haul truck, load this U-Haul truck up, drive it all the way to North Carolina, get here, have to unload the truck, get it back to a U-Haul place. I'm like, I'm going to be tired. So I got a pod. Well, it was the last week, and it was on a Monday. I texted Dan, and I was like, hey, when am I going to get that money for the moving expense, And he was like, well, we didn't agree on that price. We just agreed on, what it would cost for the moving truck. Okay, it's in a text, you know what I mean? Because he was like, I don't see anything in writing. And I'm like, it's in a text, with you and Uncle Vince. But, I'll run over there, and I'll screenshot it for you. So I'm going over to my aunt and uncle's, and I'm going through my uncle's phone, and literally back in June, there's all these conversations with everybody else. There is no text messages between him and Dan. So my uncle deleted it. One of the last things I said to my uncle was, what kind of man don't keep his word? And why is it that the people that screw you over, you bend over backwards for, but the ones that have always had your back and will do whatever it is, and don't treat you like dirt, don't steal from you, you treat like shit? Again, please excuse my language. It's still kind of a touchy subject. you know, it is what it is. So, I mean, me and my uncle used to be really close. He was like a dad to me. And when I say, like, when I realized he was in on this too, because my aunt had served him divorce papers, and my aunt is my mom's sister. Um, and whenever they would get into fights, the way he hurts my aunt is to go after her family. And he's helped raise me, you know, and I know this about him, but I never thought he would do it to me. Because when I say, like, he's helped raise me since I was little, he's helped raise me, you know? So when I realized that the text messages weren't there, and that was the only thing in writing proving, you know, the agreement on what I was supposed to get for moving expenses, and I had to pull that knife out of my back, like, there's no coming back. Like, no coming back from that. And yeah, so, and like I said, I've been here since September. Usually it takes me like 2 weeks to get a job because I'm a good employee. Like, I show up for work, I do my job, I will go above and beyond. Like, we're now in November and I still don't have a job. Like, I did get a job. We'll get into that as well. I was there for a week, got fired because I got a flat tire and I was 40 minutes late, even though I called. Yeah. I do have like another job where I help this lady. She owns like it's not a craft store, but it's like, you know, she does like sublimation on cups. She does engraving. She does embroidery on t-shirts, you know, the transfers on t-shirts, like all kinds of stuff, you know what I mean? And I love it there. The only thing is it's part-time and it's not consistent. So it's like I need to find something consistent. But yeah. So anyway, like, thank goodness I didn't get a U-Haul truck, because the day I was supposed to leave Florida, well, the day before I was supposed to leave Florida, a hurricane came through. So, I mean, that one, if I would have even been able to pick up the U-Haul truck, you know, that would have been fun. I wouldn't have been able to load it with the hurricane going through. So, you know, with the pod, I had it delivered earlier, and I had it loaded up, and there was about like a week and a half where, you know, the majority of the stuff was in the pod, you know, sitting there or getting ready to go to North Carolina. So I'm glad I did that instead of a U-Haul truck, because that just would have been a mess. Like, I got rid of the majority of my furniture because where I moved to was already furnished. And I remember it was probably like the end of June, beginning of July. I was talking to Allison and I was crying because it was like, I realized, I was like, I'm not even going to be able to qualify, you know, with the income to show, you know, like to show my income to even get a new place. And her aunt, the house I'm living in now, about a year ago, she went into a nursing home and the house is just like sat. And the aunt wanted to rent out her house, but at the same time, it's like she still has like all of her personal stuff here. You know, she's not able to come and clean, you know, get rid of like bank statements, all that. So she didn't just want to rent it out to anybody. So as I was crying and I'm telling Allison, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm like, he screwed me every which way to freaking Tuesday. Allison was like, well, my aunt was thinking about renting out her house, and her sister is the power of attorney for her aunt. She's like, you know, let me get a hold of Megan. So Allison had called Megan, and Megan was like, oh my gosh, that would be great. She's like, I know I can trust Naomi, you know. So I got very blessed and fortunate. Like, and I think it really frustrated Dan, because when I say this mofo made sure to like dot his I's and cross his T's to try to screw me, like no matter which way I turned, like he was screwing me over. But it didn't work out. You know, so I was able to move into here. I brought my bed with me because I have a bad back, and I was like, I can't take the chance. But it's like I got rid of my couch, my coffee tables, my desks, like the whole kit caboodle. Yeah, like I said, I brought my bed. I brought this piano bench that was my grandmom's. Like my TVs. That was basically the big furniture, you know. And besides like my clothes and my craft stuff, I got rid of it. You know, I got rid of like 90% of my kitchen stuff. So it was fun. It was fun. I took a lot of trips to Goodwill. They were like, damn, you know, and there's some stuff like, I wish I would have kept some like bookcases, you know, stuff like that, because some of the problem is there's stuff in the house that I need to pack up of hers so I can unpack of mine. It's a mess, and I'll get it there. You know, I know I will. I will get it there. But yeah, that's kind of more or less in a nutshell, you know, what happened and why I had to step back from YouTube, because I knew my mouth would get me in trouble. Like, and I was dealing with it, where now I haven't really had to deal with him, you know, since September. And like I said, I still should have had my job. And it was like towards the end of July, beginning of August, I got an email from him saying, you know, well, before you leave, you know, make sure you turn in all of Pinnacle Drywall stuff. Well, if I work from home, how am I supposed to do my job if I'm still supposed to have my job till like the end of September? Which my uncle was like, no, you know, like you'll still have a job as long as I'm alive. And I just kind of was like, when Dan turned around and was like, you know, well, we'll keep her till the end of September, I was just like, you know what, like I don't want to play these games anymore. You know, like I'm done. And honestly, since I stopped working for my family's company, my stress level has gone down so much. Like, I can't even begin to describe how low my stress level is. Like, yeah, do I still have stress now? Yes, you know, because I'm still trying to find a job. You know, there's bills that aren't being paid because money doesn't grow on trees. And as much as, you know, I've tried growing that stupid money tree out in my backyard, it's not happening, you know. And the one job that I had that I was late to, I was there for like a week and I got fired from. When I got the check, it was only like $200-300, and that doesn't really go far, you know. Like, you still have to buy food. The craft place, you know, like that was like $200. Again, you know what I mean? Like, I paid my cable bill. Whoop, there went that money. You know, I did get part of my security deposit back because of the hurricane. I wasn't like, it cut into like the day I was supposed to leave. I'm still running stuff to Goodwill because they closed their stores early, which like knocked me down a day. I'm trying to run trash out, which I kind of did in the hurricane, but like when it started getting really bad, it's not worth running trash out, you know what I mean? So there was like things that it was just like trying to compact it into one day, where I would have had a couple more days had it not been for the hurricane. Like, I was supposed to get the carpets professionally carpet cleaned, which I had that scheduled. Because of the hurricane, they canceled, you know. What am I supposed to do? You know, so I didn't get my full security deposit back, but, you know, I got the majority of it back, which was nice. I was able to like make my car payment type of stuff. But yeah, so let's get into North Carolina, right? So in the beginning of August, I came up here because, again, you know, the house had kind of sat empty for about a year, and there was bugs and snakes in the backyard that I had to like deal with. So I'd like come up for like, I think I showed up like on a Thursday and left Sunday and got back Monday, or I left Monday. I don't know. I was here for like a long weekend, you know, and just kind of like tried to take care of what I could. Got back to Florida, packed everything up. my neighbors, when I say like, I love it. I love it here in North Carolina. My neighbors are absolutely fantastic. We look out for each other. Every Friday we get together for dinner and drinks. Now that it's starting to get colder, we're starting to do like bonfires. It's like a family. It's like a home, you know. And again, we all look out for each other. There's this one lady, Tiny. She's 81 years old. She lives across the street from me. I absolutely adore her. Like, adore her. I go over there, I sit with her, I talk with her. If she needs help with anything, I'm like, here I am. Don't you be trying to do that yourself, you know. And she's originally from Texas. You know, she's lived on this street for over 50 years. You know, she's a widow. Her husband passed away a couple years ago. You know, so like, I always joke around, you know, I'm like, Tiny, I'm like, us single ladies, we got to stick together, you know. And oh, she reminds me of like a Southern belle. Like, I love her. I love her. I love her. I love her. I'm pretty sure you guys will hear more about Tiny in my neighbors. I'm already a half an hour in. I still have so much to tell you. I got to show you these boxes that TSL Dame sent me. Yeah, so the house, it's a 3-bedroom house. Absolutely wonderful. Allison's aunt is working with me right now because I am having such a hard time finding a job. It is kind of like a small town, but like I live less than 5 minutes from a Marine base. The beach is still a half an hour away, you know, so that's awesome. But because I have 1 an out-of-state phone number, 2 on my resume, I have the job from Florida and then 2 jobs from Pennsylvania. My one neighbor who used to own a coffee shop and she had to like close it down last year, she told me, she's like, it's a small town around here. To try to find a job in the city, it's like you have to know somebody. She's like, and the fact that you have an out-of-state phone number, 2 different states, it looks like you're affiliated with the military or a military spouse. She's like, or half these people aren't even going to give you the time of day. And that's true. That is true. Like I said, it's nice living in a small town, but until people get to know you and realize, you know what I mean? Like, okay, you're not going anywhere. Because like I said, just recently, like basically this week, I've been getting so many interviews that, yeah. So let's get into what's been kind of like my distraction, since I moved to North Carolina. So I did meet somebody. He is absolutely fabulous, treats me so good, like so good. I can't even begin to describe it. Like, it's almost scary. It's so good. I frustrate the holy living bejesus out of him because he's always trying to help me, and I'm so used to being independent that I have a hard time asking for help. You know, like the one day I was changing my light bulb on my front porch and he came up and he was like, let me do that. And I got it. And I was like, no, I got it. He's like, let me do it. Just last week, my smoke detector was going off and the battery, it's not like your normal battery. It like almost looks like a camera battery. So it was going off. So I just took it off and he was like, he had come over and he was like, why is your smoke detector off the wall? And I'm like, oh, because it was going off and I couldn't stand it. I'm like, you know, once I get a job, you know, I'll da-da-da. And he's like, he's looking at it and he's like, this smoke detector is really old. He's like, the next time I go to Lowe's, he's like, I'm going to get you a smoke detector. And I'm like, no, you don't have to do that. Like, once I get a job and I get on my feet. And he's like, would you just let me help you? You know, so he's teaching me, just let him do it. He's gonna do it anyway, even if I tell him no. Like make sure, like, every week, like, I don't ask him for it. And the first week he did it, like, I told him, I was like, I don't want your money. And like, and he's not giving me like a lot of money, you know, but he's like, I just want to make sure, you know, like you got gas, you know, like some money for food. You know, you can get your fruit punch rock stars, because the one time I didn't have any and I got such a massive like caffeine withdrawal headache, and he saw it, and he saw, like, I mean, I was like in tears. You know, so he makes sure, you know what I mean, that like I have food, I have gas for my car. My car, before I left Florida, I took it to the dealership, you know, to get things like fixed, because I wanted to make sure everything was good. That was almost $4,000, and it's not all the time, but sometimes like it makes this funky noise, and I was telling him about it, and he was like, well, that sounds like a belt. He's like, did you get a belt replaced? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, I got a whole bunch of things, you know, done on the car. I'm like, it was almost $4,000. And he was like, well, do you have, you know, everything they did? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, well, he's like, the next time I come over, he's like, you know, get it. He's like, I'll look it over. He's like, because it sounds like a belt. You know, so I got the paperwork out of the car and I had it sitting there. And the next time he came over, he looked at it and he was like, yeah, he's like, they did replace your belt. He's like, you need to take your car up to Hyundai here and make them, you know, fix it. And I was like, I don't feel right. You know, I'm like, that dealership's not the one who did it. Da-da-da. He's like, it doesn't matter. He was like, they messed it up, make them fix it. And I was like, Jeff, I'm like, I can't, you know, I'm like, it'd be different if it was like the Florida one. I'd have no problem calling him up being like, yo, mofos, like, you charged me an arm and a leg. Hasn't even been 2 months. Why is it doing this? So on his next day off, he's going to take my car up to Hyundai. And please pray for that Hyundai dealership, because he is built like a brick house. Like, he is a giant teddy bear to me. I wouldn't want to piss him off. I wouldn't want to piss him off. He's a retired Marine. He served, oh my gosh, it's over 20 years in the Marines, like high rank, you know. Yeah, like he's built. I on TikTok, you know, like I made this video. I didn't post it, but I sent it over to Baby Cakes. I love you, Baby Cakes. Mwah! You can ask Baby Cakes, like, he's built. Like, his thigh, I'm not kidding you, his thigh is bigger than my freaking face, okay? So he's very intimidating. Yes, but it's funny. So, like, he told me, so the first time he saw me, it was like I had just moved here, and he didn't actually see my face. He was like, yeah, he was like, and he's also my mailman. So I was like bent over in my car looking for something. And he was like, I need to find out who that butt belongs to, right? And it's funny. So the first time I got mail here, and my sleep schedule was all thrown off from driving through the middle of the night from Florida, you know, because I like to drive at night. He came, like, I heard a knock at the door, and I'm like, who the hell's knocking at my door? Like, I don't know anybody like that, you know. And if it's the neighbors, like, they kind of knew I was a little off with my sleep schedule. And I kept knocking, so, like, I finally get up, you know, and I'm not nice when I get up, but, you know, I needed to get up anyway. And I answered the door, and there is this mailman, and holy hot damn! I was like, whoo! Like, first off, when did the post office start, like, hiring male strippers? Because I swear, like, whoo, hot mama, right? And, you know, he knocked on the door. He's like, well, I just wanted to make sure, you know, that this is you. I haven't delivered mail here for, you know, about, like, a year. And, you know, now, like, he's told me, he's like, yeah, he's like, there's a reason I knocked on your door. He's like, I could have just stuck it in the mailbox. He was like, but I wanted to see who you were. So then you know, he starts like asking the neighbors about me, you know, like when he go deliver the mail, he'd be like, so that girl over there, like, is she a good girl? Like, she doesn't have a boyfriend, does she? You know, and the neighbors are like, oh no, she's great. She's so nice. Like, it's just her and her dog, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, so the neighbors kind of like hooked us up, and it is what it is. Again, like, he is absolutely fantastic. Like, I've always joked around, especially like in Florida, like you guys know, I was like, oh, let me try dating again. We all know how that went, right? So I was like to the point where I'm like, I'm done. You know what I mean? Like, not going on any dating websites. Like, if God wants me to be with somebody, like, he's just gonna have them show up at my door. God was like, hold my coffee, girlfriend. I got you. Let me send you this hot mailman that looks like he could be a stripper. Whew. If I remember, I will post this like video of him on my Instagram. I would put it in this video, but chances are YouTube will probably give me a copyright strike, you know. But yeah, yep. You know, trying to find a job, it's been kind of difficult, you know what I mean? But here recently, you know, like the mailman, my hot mailman, that's what I call him. He's my hot mailman. Like, when he found out I got the one job, and it was 40 minutes away, and this was like after a month of being here that this place hired me. And he had like knocked on my door, and I was like all dressed up to go to the interview, and he was like, oh, where are you going all dressed up? You know, and I told him, and he was like, that's a far drive. And I'm like, yeah, well, you know, I've applied just about everywhere here, and I'm not hearing back from anybody. Or if I did, you know, I would get like an interview, and Dan wasn't calling the people back for the reference. So, you know, I was like, it's a job. You know, if I got to drive 40 freaking minutes, you know, that's what I'm going to do. So then like he started, you know, like, because obviously he's the mailman, he delivers to businesses, you know, and like he asked me, you know, like, well, what it is that I do. And this is like before, you know, things got more serious. You know, I told him, so whenever he heard of anybody hiring, he would let me know. And then there was a job fair, and he grabbed one of the flyers, you know, and he brought it over, and he's like, you know, there's this job fair. So I went to the job fair last week, and he's like my biggest cheerleader. He really is. So like the day of the job fair, you know, he texts me, and he's like something like, you know, like, you got this, beautiful, like, good luck at the job fair, you know, like, walk in there, you know, like, you own the place, you know, like, you're gonna be fabulous. Like, oh, he just tickles me pink. Anywho, right? So literally up until this week, it was like, I was having such a hard time. Like, a couple weeks ago, my cable modem went out, so I had to go to the store to exchange it. And I was talking to this one girl there, and the place her brother works at is hiring. That's a call center. So I filled out an application there. They send you this test. You got to take the test, send it in. They review it. They like your results. They send you another test. You got to do that test, send it in. They review it. They like that. They call you for the interview. So on Monday, I got a call for the interview. That's on the 28th. It's for a call center, but it's a 5-week training class. And it doesn't start till January 8th. And I'm like, I don't know about that. There was another place, I was talking to this guy at the job fair, and it has nothing to do with office work, but he really liked my personality. He was like, you'll be a great fit. He's like, make sure you apply. I got an email from him last night, you know, asking like when I could do an interview. I have a phone interview scheduled with that place on Monday at 10:30. There was another one on Monday. I got an email to set up an interview, but that's 40 minutes away. I actually wound up canceling that one, and you'll hear now because now I have so many interviews, it's unreal. But, you know, again, it's like a job. And at that time, I hadn't heard back from the call center, so I was like, not that I want to drive 40 minutes again, but a job's a job. But again, I wound up canceling that because I really don't want to be driving 40 minutes. What I'm going to be spending in gas, it's not going to be worth it. So there's the call center. There was that cleaning thing as an administrative assistant because I don't want to do bookkeeping anymore. It's stressful. It is so stressful being a bookkeeper. I'm like, I'll just stick with office work, you know. I applied for at DaVita Dialysis as an administrator. I had a phone interview today with them. I'm pretty sure that went well because the guy told me he's going to send my information over to the hiring manager and they should reach out to me in the next couple of days. You know, if I don't hear from him by Thanksgiving, he's like, reach back out to me. He's like, I'm going to be off next week, you know, So I think I got the job there. The call center, the guy that told me about the call center at the Spectrum place, like he told me, he's like, if you get the interview, if you get to the point where they set up an interview with you, he's like, you basically have the job, you know, just as long as you don't go in for the interview and they're like, well, if a customer was giving you a hard time, what would you do? You know, like you don't turn around and go tell them to go screw off and hang up on them. He's like, but basically if you hit the interview process with this call center, you have the job. But again, and it is paid training. It's 5 weeks long. It doesn't start till January. So there was that. I got an email. I applied for a chiropractor's office as a front desk, which I've worked for a chiropractor before. I got an email from them that I need to go and email them back to set up an interview. And there's another one. But yeah, just like basically this week, it's like every day I'm like getting either a phone call or an email to set up an interview. So, you know, things are starting to turn around. I do have diamond paints, and I know I've said this before, but like I really need to do it. I don't know if you can see it over there. I have them all kind of set out. I need to go and take pictures of them, but I figured what I'm going to do is I'm going to post them on Instagram first because I like, you know, the subscribers, you guys are absolutely amazing to have a chance first at them before I post them to a Distash group. So please look out for that. Again, I really am going to do it because I really need the money. Yeah, so let me see. Anything else that I need to catch you guys up on? Trying to find a job. I think that's more or less it. You know, if I forgot something or I started it on something, because I know I've been all over the place. I don't know if I said it earlier, but you know, there's been like a handful of you guys that have reached out over the months, you know, checking in on me, like Baby Cakes, Judy. Oh my gosh, you know, like a handful of you guys, and thank you guys so much. You know, like I know I've kind of like I didn't fall off the face of the earth, but it's like I needed to step back and prioritize things, you know, and I'm going to try my best here to get back into a normal schedule, even if it's just, you know, my Wip Chats and the Savage Story Time. I don't know if I'll do Savage Story Time this week, you know, but I want to get back into Savage Story Time because I really like doing it, right? So let's get into this box from TSL Dame. I did open it because I've had it since like September. Girl, I'm so sorry it took me so long to do this video. But they're like housewarming gifts, right? So she sent, and I opened these up. Some of the stuff I had to put back in the box, right? She sent some bones and stuff like that for Roscoe. Roscoe loves these. Here's the card, right? Got a card. I got some, I can finally open these now. Some caramel apple Werther's Originals. These are like one of my favorites. A piece of poop. Smell like roses. Because yeah, we've been like on a crochet kick, you know, and we crochet. I'm really into crochet now. She made me this adorable little manatee. Like, I love him. I love him. If you all know, you know how much I love my floaty potatoes, right? Got some pot holders that she crocheted for me, as well as this oven mitt. My favorite people had paws. That would be Mr. Rascaruni. She sent me this stationery gift. I absolutely love all this. Got some ponytail holders because, have you seen this? That's the lots of hair. Zodiac shadows. What is this? Some of the things I remember, some of them I don't. It's been a hot minute, but I'm glad I can actually unbox these now. Oh, I remember this. So it goes over like your Harbor Freight containers to pour your drills into so it doesn't spill. I absolutely love that. That's gonna make my life easier, even though I do have a diamond painting over here that I have not worked on. I'll get back into the diamond painting with the Wip Chats. You know, I just had so much to fill you guys in on. Some lavender. That smells so good. There's this. I could have wore these for Halloween. I'm a ding dong. Dear Lord, baby Jesus. I tell you, what am I going to do with myself? She made me, and like I said, I'm a ding dong, and she sent these to me in September. We're now in November. She made me these pumpkin earrings that, I mean, I would still rock them, right? So she made these. They are absolutely adorable. I love them. She sent me some mineral bath soap. There was another one. I actually pulled it out and used it because my back was like bothering me really bad from moving, because I basically had to unload the pod myself because my mom like wound up hurting her shoulder. We got some cover minders. Got some list pads that you can put on the refrigerator with the magnets. I need to put them on my fridge. What is this? Oh my gosh! I don't know if you guys remember these or not. You know, what are they, like Tamagotchis or whatever? You know, there's like little pets that you had to keep alive. Oh my gosh, I need to, this is like a throwback, reminds me of my childhood. Down in the comments, if you made it this far, you're the real MVP. Do you guys remember these? Were you ever successful on keeping your little pet alive? Because I tried my best, and look, I've had Roscoe for 5 years now. How he's still alive and kicking, I don't know. Maybe it's because I love him to death. Ooh, Taste of Home Casserole Cookbook. Ooh. I need to go through this. Okay. So then so she had been like working on all of this before I even left Florida. And it was funny because she was like, well, I'm almost done your box. She's like, but I'm going to wait till, you know, you move to North Carolina before I send it. And this stuff just kept growing and growing. I love this. I got to put like a plant or something in it. It's like a flower pot. Isn't that cute? Like, I love this. Oh, I love this so much. Now I just got to find something to stick in there. Let's see what else. Oh, yes, this. So she had made me, for my birthday, she had sent me like a box of stuff. She knows how much I love the beach. So, you know, this is like a tissue box that, you know, it's got Life's a Beach. And I love how she added these like little things here. She's so good when it comes to like crochet, and all that. You got like the little beach chair with the umbrella, with the flip-flops at the beach with the ocean. Again, Life's a Beach. You got the beach ball with the ocean waves, with the sand, with the flip-flops. Like, ooh. At the top here, you got sunglasses with flip-flops. Like this, I love this. I love this. And like I said, I'm not as close to the beach as I was when I lived in Florida, but the beach is like a half an hour away. So it's still close. So like when I need my beach days, I can still get there. Let's see, what else? What else is there? Oh, dear Lord. We're just going to pull this all out. Oh, I can now hang these up. She made these dish towels that match the one, you know, to go with my kitchen, because she asked me what the colors of my kitchen were. You know, and that goes with these pot holders that she also made that I showed earlier. But, you know, like these little towels that I can like hang off of my stove. It says my favorite people have paws. You know, so she made me 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Like, when I tell you, this girl is freaking talented. She is talented. I'm like, I love talking to her. We FaceTime all the time. She sent me a big Pyrex filled with stuff. I guess that's to go with the casserole cookbook, so I can actually put the casserole in the Pyrex thing. I love it. Thank you. See, we have more of the oven mitts. We have my favorite people have paws. I think Naomi, what are these called? Pot holders? Is that what? Yeah, that's what they're called. You just said it. What is wrong with me? These are for Roscoe. She made him little like coasters that I can like put his like food bowl and water bowl on with the little paw prints. Isn't that freaking adorable? Like, and it matches the like kitchen theme. And then this, I love this. I love this. She made this. It is a dog bowl, a dog bone that, you know, I can lay down and I can put these on here to put his like water bowl and food bowl on. I absolutely love it. Again, thank you so much, TSL Dame. Thank you everybody who has made it this far. Again, if you made it this far, you guys are the real MVP. Thank you for sticking around. You know, thank you for watching this. You know, I can't even begin to explain the support, you know, and all the love that people have shown me over, you know, the last couple of months with me, you know, kind of taking a step back from YouTube because I had to watch what I said. If you guys have any comments, questions, things that I might have started talking about and then maybe just like squirreled and went the other way, leave that down in the comment section. It was wonderful talking to you guys. I hope you guys all have a fabulous day, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys!